What's up everyone, it's Karina here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I thought I would film a video about how I take my Instagram photos. So if you're not already following me on Instagram, please feel free to follow me here. I post daily stories about my outfits and fashion and makeup and all that kind of jazz. I get questions on an everyday basis on how I take my Instagram photos, what camera equipment do I use, how do you pose, and how I edit my photos. So today we're gonna sit down and go through every single detail. So first of all, I want to talk about the equipment that I use. So for cameras, when I take my Instagram photo, I usually use only my DSLR camera, and this is the one that I'm using here. This is the I have to read the strap because I don't know off the top of my head. It's the Canon EOS 6D Mark II camera, and this is what it looks like. So it's a pretty heavy duty camera. I get a lot of questions from you guys asking me how to create that blurry background effect where like only the subject, which is me, is in focus and then the rest of the picture is all blurry. And that actually has to do a lot with the lens that you're using. So for lenses, every single one of my Instagram photos that has the blurry background effect, this lens right here is the Canon 50mm f1.2. The smaller the f-stop number, the more blurrier or dreamier the background of your photos will be. So for these photos here, they were all taken by this particular lens right here, and I love this lens so much. It is so pricey. It is, I think it's about like over $2,000 or something crazy like that. I will be linking the specifics down here. So when you're using a DSLR with this lens here, you gotta know that when you're using something like a 50mm, your photographer has to stand so far away, to the point like if you're gonna be doing any kind of street shots where you're like standing on a road, your photographer literally has to be like on the other side of the road to capture your full body or your full portrait. So that's the only downfall of that. Plus it's really heavy. So like the other equipment I like to use but I don't use very often is my iPhone. So I have here an iPhone X. Yeah, I think it's the iPhone X. I don't use this very often because I find that once you do go for a DSLR and your picture has that like professional quality, you just won't look back to an iPhone. Usually if I use my iPhone, that's only because I didn't bring this and I'm like wearing something super cute that day and I didn't intend to take a photo that day, but I just happened to like stumble across the prettiest backdrop and I'll be like, okay, can you just take some iPhone shots of me? But on my Instagram, you'll see most of them being taken by this guy right here. So let's talk about second thing to how I take my Instagram photos, and that is lighting. I cannot stress how important lighting is. Like you see this? I'm relying on natural light only right now, and that's shining through my window and that's right there. So you get the unidirectional light shining on you. So in terms of lighting, I only like to use natural light. I'm not an expert yet at trying to like play around with flash or like different kind of like settings where you use kind of like soft boxes here and there. So yeah, whenever I'm out and about, I only use the sun, and like contrary to what you might think, a sunny day is actually not the best day to shoot your photos. So you want to create that diffused lighting effect, and the best day to do that is cloudy days, or you know, that's why people shoot during golden hour, which is when the sun's about to set. But it casts this gorgeous like orange hue all around, and you don't have any harsh shadows. So when the sun is directly on top of your head, which is like 12 noon or about 1 p.m, do not shoot unless you're in shadows or unless you're in the shade. But yeah, if you're like out in the open and your shadow is casting like a shadow right on your face, you'll see that there's all kinds of shadows all around your face, and it's really hard to work with. Your pictures won't turn out as cute, trust me on that. Even though it may not seem like it's the best day, but gloomy days or cloudy days are actually best for your photos. Second point I want to point out about lighting is the direction of the lighting. So when you have the lighting facing this way, so like right now it's hitting unidirectional this way, I like it when it's at a 45-degree angle to my face because it casts a beautiful shadow right in the middle of my nose here, and I'm all about that these days. It makes your nose look super high, super straight. Love it. I don't like it when the light is facing me like this, like straight in front of my face, like just like casting like entire I don't know, like light source on me, like straight on. I don't like it. I think it tends to make your features look a lot flatter than they actually are in real life. The other thing I really like is if the lighting is like directly behind me. So a lot of my Instagram photos, you'll see that I'm completely facing 180 degrees away from where the sun is shining from. So I am completely in the shadows. So you want to be completely in the shadows, or you want to be completely out of the shadows, or you want to be just like 45 degrees to the shadows. You'll get it. Okay, now for the fun part. So now we're gonna be talking about posing and how to pose for Instagram pictures. I'll show a clip right here so you can see what I'm talking about. The type of poses I go for is like really simple, really generic. There's no really like secret sauce to it. The only thing I would say though, if I'm wearing a skirt, for example, here, I like to kind of like create some kind of movement around the piece I'm wearing. If I'm wearing runners or sneakers or nothing with heels, I like to tiptoe a little bit. Not like tiptoe to the point where you're gonna like fall on your face, but just like tiptoe a little bit, because that creates that length. So you want your lower body to appear longer than your upper torso, because that's like the golden ratio, guys. Like that is all I'm after for all of my Instagram photos. Another thing that you see bloggers do so often is either play with their hair or like look down at the floor and like smile really happily at the ground, as if the ground is like their best friend or their lover or something. So you'll see me going like this, ha 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 ha. A lot of times I will walk back and forth. So whenever you see pictures of me like in the middle of an action, I'm usually creating the motion by walking back and forth, because my photographer has to be so far away from me to begin with. I don't want to keep walking, because that means if I keep walking, he's gonna have to keep moving backwards, and I don't know, he's just gonna like bump into a garbage can and like fall over. What I usually do is I just like walk this way and back and this way and back. Another thing to point out is that if you're shooting directly for Instagram and you want to crop your photo to the 4:5 ratio that Instagram has, you want to make sure that your photographer leaves enough space above your head, or like, you know, that space where like, so you're not taking up all of the picture in this frame. So you're only taking about like 80% of the picture, and there's space above your head and like below your feet. Because when you do crops and when you do your like post editing on that photo, it's going to elongate you even more, and you will be thankful for that extra space that your photographer gave you when he's shooting you. If I'm wearing something like shorts or jeans and you want your butt to look really good, tell your photographer to shoot from a lower angle. So when you're shooting from a lower angle, I'm going to show you right here, your butt looks so much bigger than if you're shooting from like face value or like even like up down. So that's something to keep in mind, you know, if you're going for that. I usually just like cheat on my photos like that, because like I don't have a big butt to begin with. So I always tell my photographer to like go low. Go low. Can you go low? Even lower. A little bit lower. Tiny bit lower. So that brings me to the next point, is the angles. And I'm not talking about angle for your poses. I'm talking about your photographer knowing the angle that you want. So I'm going to give you a great example over here of Peter taking my photo. I'm wearing the same outfit. It's the exact same day, and he took one picture directly face value. So I think he took it like this. And I'm going to show you another picture where he used the professional camera and he was like literally on the floor. It was like kneeling on the ground or something like that, it looks like. So also, it's not just about how low you go. You also need to make sure that if you're taking it with your iPhone, you need to make sure that your photographer is taking it this way. So this is the subject. I'm taking it this way, not this way, this way. Because when you go this way, it naturally elongates the lower portion of your legs, which I'm guessing is what you want if you're looking at this video. And then now we're moving on to the final part, which is the final touches of the photo. So you all know, if you've ever played around with Instagram, that after you take the photo, you are not done yet. You're done most of your work, but you're not done all. So once I go home, I tend to import the photos into my computer and into my phone. And what I do there is I do some final touches and like post-processing or edits. I have my own presets. They're on my blog, karinamango.com/presets. So basically, they're just filters for your photos developed by yours truly. And because fall is coming, I thought I would show you guys what I do to my photos to make them more like warm and like have fall vibes. This photo is the original photo, and after I applied fall vibes on it, it now looks like this. So can you see the difference? So the oranges and the yellows are more like vibrant and saturated, and the greens are more toned down because you don't have any like greens for fall. So then after I apply my presets to it, what I do is I save it to my camera, And I'm going to show you a trick that I do. I usually go to Snapseed. I just open this image here that we just did. And what I like to do is I go to perspective, and I'm going to play around with this so you know what I mean. So this gives you longer legs, make you look kind of like an alien, but I'm exaggerating to show you my point. Or you can go like this. See how the perspective of the picture can change how tall you are, and it can also change your body ratio. So I always use this tool whenever I'm editing my photos. Before I post them, I always make sure that, you know, like the ratio looks good. At the end of the day, it just needs to look good. It doesn't need to look like super unbelievable like this. Okay, so after you're happy with how your ratio looks, now it's time to crop things. So I usually go to this cropping tool, and you see how like it automatically gives me that 5:4 ratio that Instagram pictures have, so you want to do that. And I like to give myself just slightly more room on top of my head here than the room that's below my feet, because on Instagram when you do see it, it looks more like pleasing to the eye. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know the exact size to it, but yeah, you don't want to be like cutting your leg off like that, and you don't want to be like cropping it so close that you only see this, because if you do this, what's going to happen is that when you're on Instagram, it's going to automatically default crop it to a square on your feed, and your toes are going to be cut off and half of your face is going to be cut off, so that's not pretty. So you want to be able to compensate for that by like leaving some room. So this is what I usually do, and that is the final picture that you see on my feed. So in my opinion, it's way better that your photographer is taking a picture of you from a far away distance, so that, you know, you have the chance to kind of like zoom in and like crop inwards of your photo, than to have him like stand super close to you and you have no way of zooming out on the picture. Okay guys, so that concludes this video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned a thing or two. If you want like a dedicated tutorial on how to pose, or a tutorial on how to use my presets, feel free to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, and I will see you in my next video.